Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tommy and Poli's Big Fight Forecast. Dude, we got a huge boxing weekend this week. And then, as if it wasn't big enough, we got next weekend, we got an even bigger boxing weekend.
Bigger.
We're going to go one week at a time as we do, And I'll tell you what, this weekend is a big card on Friday. New York in general is the center of boxing for this weekend, especially. And we're going to have this weekend, Friday night, the big female card. It's probably arguably the biggest female showcase in the history of female boxing. I think it's by Jake Paul's promotion, right?
MVP Promotions.
Big deal being done there. Now if the women can have women always show up. If sometimes they show out, sometimes they don't. If the fights can live up to the expectation of this will be a huge showcase for women's boxing. Obviously, Friday at the Garden. And that's what we're going to go into. First, Saturday, we have the other big card, also in New York, with Berlanga, headlined by Berlanga and Sheeraz. I know Saturday for Pro Box, I had Lester Martinez, but he's pulled out with some migraine issues. We're going to go into that at Pro Box later on today. I think we have another show we got to do there. I've been recording with Pro Box, also training for my bare knuckle fight, so on and so forth. Nothing that the public doesn't already know about. But let's jump right into things. Friday with the female card. I think there's 7 televised fights. Is that correct, Tommy?
Something in that ballpark. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll go over the major ones.
Mm.
I think we'll go over, like, obviously we're going to touch upon Serrano versus Taylor, because that's a huge
Yeah, I
one.
mean, I think that one's a can't miss for entertainment purposes. But of course, as me and you tend to do, we talk about the degeneracy of things, and we go into the some of our betting opinions between ourselves. Again, a disclaimer for the Tommy and Paulie's Big Fight Forecast: nothing we talk about here is betting or gambling advice. This is all conversation. All these conversations are strictly for entertainment purposes, but. Let's get into it, man. What
Yeah,
do we got over here? Big card. Let's go one fight at a time, I guess. We got Baumgardner. Is Baumgardner on that card too, right?
he is, man.
Baumgartner.
Yes,
All
yeah,
right,
she's
all
fighting
right.
this girl, Miranda. Miranda can fight a little bit from
Mhm.
Spain. I got to admit, Paul, I'm not a huge female boxing fan, but I'm pretty excited for this card. Got a
Yeah.
lot of good
Well,
fights on this show.
like I
It
said, they've showcased it pretty well. Now it's a matter of living up to it. I mean, even the men, sometimes you put a big showcase card on,
it
think
doesn't
it's
hurt
gonna
that
go
I
well and it
spread.
doesn't pan out. But at least the expectation's high.
Yeah, and with the female fights, it does not hurt that I spread some money across the board. It kind of makes things a little more exciting. So
Mhm.
yesterday I put in a decent amount of parlays involving these females, but yeah, these are
You spread it across the whole card?
across the female card. I pushed it into Saturday as well. Yeah,
As you do. All right, all right, all right. Let's get in. What did you like? Because some of these fights I'm not totally familiar with.
okay,
Obviously I know the big names.
yeah,
Baumgartner, obviously the main event.
yeah. We'll talk
These are
about
just big names
Baumgardner
of the game.
first,
Hmm.
because she's one of the biggest names in female boxing. She's a pound for
Hmm.
pound. I would assume she's on the pound for pound top 10 list of most
Hmm.
people's female boxing pound for pound list. The girl that she's fighting, Miranda, first of all, very good looking. So I watched a little footage of her to check her
Hmm.
out.
Hmm.
Awkward from Spain. She's what is she? She's 12 and 0, I believe.
So is this her big step up? Has she
This is
stepped
a
up this level?
this is a big step up for her. She does have some amateur pedigree, but this is a big step up on the pro level for her.
Mhm.
Very awkward style. She does have the advantage in hand speed, so she's got fast hands.
She's
But the
got fast
thing,
hands and Baumgartner. Baumgarner's not slow.
no, Baumgardner is not slow. Baumgardner is a solid all-around fighter. She's got good power for a female. She's one of
Mhm.
these girls that does get stoppages. It seems as even if she doesn't get a stoppage, she'll put a girl on the canvas throughout the course of the fight.
Yeah.
I know that the last time they had fights at the Garden, Jake Paul did show at the Garden, which was Serrano Taylor won. She had the girl down twice in the third round. It looked like she was going to get an early stoppage. And then what tends to happen with Baumgardner is as the fight progresses, her gas tank gets a little low. She doesn't have that 10-round stamina where she keep that same pace for 10 rounds. So she's
Also, you know
usually,
what it is? You know what it is, Tommy, with these female fights, you got to budget your energy differently. 'Cause it's like a 2-minute sprint instead of
yeah,
a 3-minute drawn out process where you get the final minute to try to get the stoppage.
yeah, she's a fast starter, but she tends to, the gas tank gets a little low as the rounds progress. This girl Miranda is awkward though, very fast hands, but a little flimsy. I mean, from what I saw on the footage of her, fast hands, she doesn't. She's not physically strong, and she's not a puncher. So I mean, listen, just because you're not a puncher doesn't mean you can be physically strong. You can't be
Mhm.
physically strong, and just because you're a big puncher like a Deontay Wilder, for example, doesn't mean you have physicality. Someone like Deontay Wilder hits like a truck, but he gets thrown all over the ring and manhandled. It's nice
Mhm.
to have both, like George Foreman had both.
Yeah.
With Miranda, I don't see either one. I think that's going to be her undoing here. She's not a
And that's
puncher.
why the odds are so heavy.
Yeah, she's not a puncher. She only has one knockout, but she also has that physicality. It doesn't look like she likes to be on the inside and work at all. She's going to grab, hold, and clinch.
Mhm.
Fast hands, awkward. but almost fights a little panicky. So I got Baumgardner winning this fight for certain. It's a matter of whether she does it by decision or knockout. A knockout is certainly in the cards here.
A knockout would be a statement of beating undefeated fighter, right? By knockout.
It would be, and
Also would alleviate some of the odds because I think Baumgartner is about minus 1,300 right now, right?
yeah, she is. She's actually a plus for the stoppage. She's a plus something in the ballpark about plus 200 for the stoppage.
Interesting.
So and then like a minus I want to say minus 230 or so for the decision win. So Baumgardner is going to win this fight regardless. She might have some trouble with this girl early. It's just a matter of whether this girl can figure out a way to survive for 10 rounds. Whether she goes into survival mode early or she fights back the whole fight. But I don't see how Baumgardner has too much difficulty after the second and third round with this girl.
Well, do you think her slowing down will have any effect on the fight? I mean, what do you think? How is this girl Miranda's stamina late in fights? Because
She looks like she's got a good guess.
She has hand speed, so the hand speed. If there's stamina issues late in the fight, hand speed could give Miranda some advantages late.
Yeah, it could. It could. It's about her getting through that early storm because she's never fought at this level before. So she's going to get hit harder than she's ever been hit before. She's going to be with the most skilled girl that she's been in with, and it's about how she reacts to that, whether she panics or whether she fight or flight.
Yeah.
And she's also, keep in mind, she's 38 years old. She's not the most active female in the world either.
Yeah. For 30.
Well, I did mention she's very good looking.
Yeah.
As is Baumgardner.
As you do, of course. All right.
So I don't mind watching that.
Yeah. But, so what are you thinking though, overall?
Honestly, if you're doing a parlay on this one, buyer beware. You can go in either direction, whether it's going to be a decision for Baumgardner or a stoppage for Baumgardner.
You like Baumgardner. It's just the minus 1,300 is a bit heavy, so you gotta pick your poison as far as whether you think it's going to be a stoppage or a decision.
Yeah, there are other fights on the card that I feel that are more reliable. So in a lot of these situations, I'm just using those fights as prop bets, and Baumgardner is just a cherry on top, just to increase the odds a little bit.
Yeah, and add a little bit of risk spice to the.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think? We got Scotney.
Yes, Scotney against Mercado. Now that's an interesting fight. Scotney is not a puncher. We just talked about Miranda not being a puncher with one knockout in 13 fights. Scotney's 10-0 with no knockouts. I think she scored a knockdown per debut, and that is all we can talk about as far as her power goes, or lack thereof. So the girl that she's in with, 24-3, only 5 knockouts herself, but she's been on a world-class level with other girls before. She went the distance with Amanda Serrano, the 10-round distance, a couple of years back. Accomplished fighter, good fighter. Also, good-looking fighter, Paul. Not a bad-looking one either. Nice. So,
that's we like that. We give some compliments out there like that. So yeah. I feel like the women are getting better looking. They're getting bigger. They're becoming better fighters, and they're getting better looking in boxing too.
These female fighters look a lot different than they looked in the 90s.
It's like gym teachers were in the 90s and today, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. With Christy Martin being one of the original gym teachers.
Yeah, but. And honestly, there's a deeper skill level as well. There's more depth to female boxing as well.
Absolutely. So this fight's a simple one for me. You can go with Scotney by decision if you want. That would be the more attractive bet of the two. But the fight's going the distance.
But Scotney is minus what? She was like minus 1,100 yesterday when I checked.
Yeah,
but so even Scotney by decision was pretty high. I think that was like minus.
It was still about, I think, minus 400 or so.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Some sports books, sports apps, minus 450.
Okay.
But again, I'm building a parlay here on this specific card that'll bleed into Saturday's card.
But here's the thing, Tommy. I don't want to cut you off, but Scotney by decision, she has no knockouts, but it's also the girl she's fighting also has a tough reputation, right? I mean, she's never been stopped herself, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, and she's got a lot of pro fights. What about 25, 26, 27 pro?
About 30. She's I think 24-5. Oh, 20. I'm sorry, 24-3.
Yeah. So she's never been stopped herself. So that's why the belief of Scotney by decision becomes stronger there.
Absolutely. So if Scotney's going to win, it's going to by decision. Me personally, I just bet this fight to go the distance just to add to drop those odds in my parlay. And I'm going to do that throughout the course of the night with all these different fights, which will bleed into Saturday's fight.
So in order to play it safe, you just go Scotney. You just go decision, fight to go the distance.
Correct. But you also know me. I put in several different parlays, so I do got her in a couple of parlays to win the decision. Okay. Yes, but the majority of my money is on simply the fight going the distance.
Interesting. All right, but more on this card. Who else are we talking about on this card? Obviously, there's the main event, Taylor and Serrano. Is there anything else before?
Yeah, Savannah Marshall.
Savannah Marshall.
Savannah Marshall's fighting
a big name.
Khataev Green, that's a good fighter between, on paper, two very big punchers, which is interesting.
So what do you think of that?
You know what? Savannah Marshall, I mean, that's the only person that beat Clarissa Shields in the Olympics. And obviously her only pro loss is to Clarissa Shields in the pros. And she's kind of angling for that rematch. It's another good tough fight because Green can punch in her own right. She was stopping everybody early in her career. She lost the one fight whose name escapes me. I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
That was on an MVP show.
Because you called it. You actually called that one.
Yes.
And she came in with huge odds for the upset.
Was it Francois Cruz or something like that? Yeah.
It started with a D, I thought. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
But let's continue on. I think that's a very interesting fight as well, and a close to a 50-50 fight. But they got Marshall as a huge favorite, which I think is silly.
Really? So you think Jadeisha Green has an opportunity for an upset here?
She does.
You think she's live?
Jadeisha Green, there she is. You're gonna know the name as soon as I say it, Paulie. Her loss was Franchon Cruz.
That's what I just told you.
Well, yeah,
I've been telling you.
I knew it started with a D, the last name. So she's got three. Discern is the last name. All right, but she lost a 10-round decision in that fight as a major underdog. That was only the second time she ever got taken the distance.
Yeah, and Cruz actually is an interesting one because Cruz is a good fighter herself. She was Clarissa's pro debut opponent. I think they both turned pro against each other. That was a good fight. I was at that.
Is she a New York girl?
She might be. I mean, she's probably East Coast, but she's a good fighter. So
she could fight. It's gonna be So
So what do you think here? Does Green have a chance against Marshall? Marshall is a little bit less polished than a Cruz, but big puncher.
I think
but so does Green.
I think Green's live. Green's gonna keep her honest with her punching power. Her aggression, her willingness. Again, Paulie, I actually see this as a fight that goes the distance, even though they're both big punchers, and the opportunity for a knockout may present itself for both girls, and you might see one or both of them get hurt. I still ultimately see this fight going the distance, and I see Savannah relying on her jab to get there and outboxing her over the course of 10 rounds. So once again, with my parlays, I'm betting on this fight to go the distance, and it's not that long. It's something I think minus 450, which isn't terrible for 10 2-minute rounds. But I also have a couple parlays out there as well for Marshall to win the decision.
Okay.
Which I think minus 200.
So you like Marshall either way?
I like the distance either way.
You like the distance either way. So you like this either way, even though they're two big punchers. And what's the odds on the distance?
Minus 400.
Minus 400.
Which isn't terrible. It's not terrible at all. I mean, compared to, let's say, Serrano versus Taylor, the odds on that going the distance are like minus 800.
Yeah, and also when combined with parlays, like, with Scotney and whatnot, you end up lowering the odds a little bit to begin with.
Yeah, it drops it quickly. Yeah.
All right, what else we got on this card? Anything else?
We got Chantel Cameron. Chantel Cameron. Jessica Camara.
This is some card. Cameron obviously has a win over the one of the girls in the main event. Has a win over Katie Taylor. So what do you like about Cameron?
Just that work-life experience, and especially coming off the confidence, coming off a win over Katie Taylor. You're coming off a victory over arguably the best fighter in the world, or the top 3 best fighters in the world. I mean, listen, Clarissa Shields is universally considered the best female fighter in the world, but I mean, Cameron's in the conversation. Katie's obviously in the conversation as well. So I think this is an easy one for Cameron. I think she wins this fight. I don't know whether she wins this fight by stoppage or not. Jessica Camara has actually been stopped twice, and at 14-4, that's not a lot of. You're not talking about a girl with 40 or 45 fights that's been stopped twice. You're talking about a girl with 18 fights that's been stopped twice. 14-4 with a draw, so 19 fights, she's been stopped twice. And one wasn't too long ago. One was only a year ago. So the possibility for a stoppage is there. Any which way, I see Camera winning the fight. So I'm just putting Camera on the money line for that one.
And what is Camera on the money line? She's a favorite, but what's the odds on that?
Big favorite. I think I want to say that's minus 12 or minus 13. That was one of the highest ones on the card, actually.
Keep in mind, Tommy, if the parlay goes too big, people also increase their chance of losing it. So, in terms of all these picks, I like them, but
upsets happen.
I think it's important for people for a person who does this to also keep their parlays tight too. We like to give picks on everything, but in reality, it's also somebody has to pick and choose what they want to include in a parlay. I think in order to,
and that's exactly why we
maximize their chance of winning. Because the bigger the parlay, you got better odds, but also the bigger the parlay, the more chance it is to hit all of it.
And we're breaking down 9 fights today on 2 different cards. So I mean, people can pick and choose what they want. They don't have the exact route that I'm telling them. But this is the direction that I'm going.
Because what we do is not betting or gambling advice. So
correct.
Take your own choices, right? But we like to have conversations about what we like. So take us into the main event, bro. Serrano and Taylor, bro. I mean,
Hey, listen, I'll
there's
be
so
honest.
much here. There's so much to unpack here.
Holy, I actually watched Serrano Taylor last night, the second fight. And the
Mhm.
first fight is the classic, but the second fight was pretty damn good too, dude. I mean, listen, in my personal opinion, they put women's boxing, female boxing on the map. They sold out Madison Square Garden in the big room.
That's the biggest rivalry in the history of female boxing. Now,
Yeah.
there's been some very good fighters, especially of late, but the kind of rivalry this has been, I mean, this has been next level stuff. This is what Layla Ali was supposed to do with Ann Wolf so that they would have catapulted female boxing 20 years ago. But
20 years ago. Yeah.
Layla just wanted to look out for herself only and not for female boxing. That's what she did. And I felt like it set back female boxing 2 decades. I mean, now, thanks to Serrano and Taylor, building this massive rivalry, I think female boxing has been done a big service meritoriously, because now all these other good fighters also get elevated to be seen.
Yeah.
And people have more and more curiosities about female boxing. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have my reservations about some female boxing fights and some female boxing matches, but definitely the level has risen, and there's a lot more top fighters that with very, very respectable skill sets. And Serrano and Taylor, the rivalry has really done wonders for female boxing, and because they've not only been put on this platform to have this rivalry, but then they've shown out. Both fights are really tremendous. So what do we got over here?
And also, before I go on with the fight, we got to give a shout out to Jake Paul for giving these females a platform and these opportunities.
Yeah, but making the right fights, and about giving females a platform, because everybody wants to always get the pat on the back about giving the females a platform. But then, then some fights end up sucking. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like making the right fights. This was a fight that had to happen. This was a rivalry that happened, and it was created through Jake Paul, right? I mean, Serrano was really not given a lot of chances, even despite how great of a fighter she was early in her career. And it was a slow trek despite her dominance. It was a slow trek, and now being put on onto the map by Jake Paul, she has done her part and now fought a female at the female world class level and done great. And again, this rivalry is a part of it because Taylor was coming from the other side and also doing her part to raise her profile and the female boxing profile. And this rivalry is just what the doctor ordered for female boxing. Yeah. So what do we got here? 2 great fights. What's the third one? What do we got in line for the third one?
I think we got another great fight, but you know what? It's so tough.
Sometimes when 2 guys even, they're a little bit past their prime. Sometimes the fight's even better. You know what I mean?
And you know what?
Fighters that are a little past their prime.
And now I'm going to tell you, you're talking about 2 world-class, male or female. There's very little separation. Little separation when you're talking about people that
as there was in the 2 fights. Very little separation.
And those 2 fights, honestly, they could have went either way. I don't think you're going to have anybody argue if they were split 1-1 or if some people out there feel Serrano won both fights. I personally thought Serrano deserved the nod in the second fight. I thought the first fight was razor thin. I wouldn't have made a stink about it if Taylor got the decision.
There were referees that would have stopped the first fight when Taylor had.
My heart was in my chest because I had that fight going the distance, and I had Katie winning it, and I was about to lose everything in the 6th round. He was getting assaulted. I was like, "Oh."
What do we got? So what do we got here? I mean, this is one to unpack.
Bro, it's tough. This one's tough, Paul. This one's tough, and I'll be honest. I'm not going heavy on this.
One of those that goes distance again. Is a stoppage on the cards? Are they both a little bit more shot? Maybe Serrano can step up and stop Taylor. Is Taylor's punch resistance gone?
Katie just turned 39 years old. That's number 1. Number 2, keep in mind, Katie's not a puncher. She only has one path to victory, and that's by outworking and outboxing Serrano over the course of 10 years.
Can you outwork an opponent at 39 years old?
That's the thing. Now, keep also in mind, Serrano hurt her in both fights. Badly in the first fight in the 6th round, the 5th and 6th round, actually. And in the second fight, she stunned her real good in the first round, very first round, the opening round.
Yeah, and Serrano tends to start fast. So I've seen her hurt a lot of opponents early on, but then doesn't get the finish, and then the fight kind of debilitates into her cruising to a victory. But at Taylor's age, trying to use that pace, trying to win on pace, does that hurt her later in the rounds when she's a little bit tired and she takes a shot and maybe can be hurt?
Certainly can, because she was exhausted in that second fight and resorted to a little bit of headbutting throughout the course of the fight.
Yeah, just a little bit. Right? Pretty
bad gash on Amanda's eye. Call it accidental. After 14, I'm thinking it's not an accidental headbutt. No. But those fights, those were really 2 good classic fights, and I just want this fight to live up to any expectations.
Oh yeah, it's a worthy main event, of course, on paper.
Yeah. Does Serrano get the decision this time? That's the one thing, Paul.
So you think it goes distance? I
think it goes the distance, but I'm sorry. Katie Taylor is just so difficult to beat on the scorecards.
Well, you just mentioned Chantel's name. Chantel got a decision over Katie Taylor.
Yeah, but I'll reference that right now. That fight was in Ireland, Paul, and that fight was.
That wasn't difficult, no?
That fight was an 8-2 fight all day. I watched that fight, and and they made it a majority decision. So they were looking for any reason they could to give that fight to Katie. So when they fought the rematch, I already knew Katie was going to win the decision because all you got to do is just a little bit more than you did in that first fight, and they're going to give you the decision. Also, Katie tends to get away with a lot of hitting and holding. She'll get off the 1-2, grab you, wrap you up, almost to the point where it's excessive holding. The referee will warn you, but not take a point. And Katie gets away with a lot of that. She's kind of mastered the art of killing the clock.
And a little bit of John Ruiz style?
A little bit of John Ruiz style, absolutely. She'll get her shots off. Some of these punches are judge-friendly and fan-friendly punches.
Yeah, she's fast. Unlike Ruiz, she's fast, so she does it quickly, and so it has a little bit more of an impressive look when it's with fast hands.
Exactly. Quick, fast, makes noise.
Yeah. Ruiz was like slow. Ruiz was slow as molasses. He'd hit you and then he'd hold you, and it would just dead the pace.
Oh my God, he was so painful to watch. He was around for so damn long. But
Taylor has kind of done it in a fan-friendly way because of the quick speed. It exhilarates the crowd. So how do you fight this off?
Well, can Amanda make adjustments? That's one thing we haven't seen. Amanda doesn't do a lot of counterpunching. She doesn't feint. Amanda's straight aggression. So what she did in the first fight and the second fight is she met fire with. She fought even harder. Every round she pushes even harder.
Can you teach an old dog new tricks?
No, Amanda doesn't use the jab enough. So can this just be another replay of the first two fights? These girls know each other very well.
Okay, another replay of the first two fights, but you just said Serrano could have got the decision. So another replay of the first two fights. Can Serrano get a decision this time?
Listen, as long as Taylor's going to get the nod either way, I don't think she's going to mind if the fight plays out exactly the way the first two did. I don't think either one.
So what do you like? You just like it to go the distance then?
I like it to go the distance. And
you just mentioned the headbutts, though, Tommy. You just
I'll make a judgment call more time, and that's not going
to. If it move that water. But if it goes the distance, okay, fight to go the distance. But what if it ends on a headbutt prematurely? The bookies don't pay you, right?
No, that could actually, depending on what app you're using, that's gonna hurt you.
So Taylor's headbutt come into play here.
Fight, which I said would go to the distance, and it went to a
decision. Technically went a distance, it went to a technical distance, but
to a technical decision. So that's
but the bookies will screw you on that because you won't get the win for a decision and you won't get the win for a knockout either, even though the fight stopped prematurely. It's the definitive loss. Technical decision is a definitive loss in the bookies, so you can't even bet on a technical decision.
Yeah, unless that's why you got to pick one girl or the other for the decision in this particular fight. So I think you could flip a coin on who's gonna win this fight. I honestly do, because it's so tough, Puello, to figure out. Because yes, you can make arguments on both sides.
So you're basically saying tread lightly, adding this to a parlay.
Correct. You're reading exactly what I'm saying. I'm not going to bet this fight big. Yeah. I'll make a decision. I'll make a game time decision. I might do, Paulie. I mentioned this to you recently. This might be a situation where I do a live bet. I might feel at the first couple of rounds, see where things are going, and say, all right, I'm putting my money on Serrano.
Or if you see headbutts flying, you may say fight not to go to distance. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, if Amanda's opened up again like that by the second round, I don't know how they didn't stop that second fight. Yeah. If Amanda's opened up again like that from headbutts, yeah, that might be a pick to make. Yeah. But I'm expecting a great fight. I expect the fight to go the distance. Then it's just a matter of who's going to get the nod. Again, I thought that Taylor lost that second fight. I thought Amanda really won that second fight. The judges were probably influenced by the blood.
But also, one thing people have to keep in mind, when there's a cut and then the fight continues, now the person bleeding is sort of handicapped. Like, they can't really see as well, and now they still got to fight trying to win rounds because it might go to a technical decision. Yeah. So now you're trying to stay in the fight, but at the same time, because you're expected to, you can't quit, yada, yada, yada. But the problem is now you got blood in your eye from the headbutt, and it could make you lose rounds. We saw that with Tim and Fandora. You know what I mean? Like,
the worst part about that second.
And then
the worst part about that second fight, which I told you I just watched again yesterday, the worst part is the part that you just left out. She kept getting headbutted in that same spot over and over again. The cut just getting bigger and bigger. So I mean, Amanda had a lot to deal with in that fight because you're not just worried about I don't know if you ever. I'm sure you have fought guys where you're worrying about their head as well. And all of a sudden, it becomes a distraction. You're not worried about their punches anymore. You're worried about getting your teeth knocked out.
Well, you got to also make the adjustment and blade your stance off more. So if you're more squared, you're going to take more headbutts from a Billy Goat type of a fighter,
Part of me, Paulie, and I'm probably going to live bet this one. I honestly am probably going to live bet this one, but a part of me is still leaning towards Taylor for a decision. I think
she's going to get 3 decisions. She's going to get 3 decisions. They're going to do that to Serrano. I don't know, bro.
Listen, we're having a trilogy on a fight.
Two of them in New York. Two of them in New York.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I told you, I was convinced that
So is there a place on earth where Taylor is not favored to get these decisions? Because like you said, Cameron beat her 8-2 and she still barely got a decision in Ireland. So
yeah, but
there's no place on earth where you're not risking.
but on the books, Serrano's the favorite in this fight. She was the
Okay.
underdog in the second fight.
What if there's pressure on the judges to finally give Serrano a decision? You know?
Yeah. No, this is a tricky one to bet. That's why you got to keep in mind.
So you're saying you're just going to tread lightly with this one. You may not even throw it in, or maybe you might throw it in on a live bet. You know, it's
live bet I'm going to do. And again, you got to tread lightly because you got to remember how those first two fights went with those decisions. I mean, people are still up in arms and arguing over who won the first fight, who won the second fight. Serrano should be up 2-0. It could be 1-1. So, you know what, we might get another one of those decisions where, you know, people are going to disagree for the next 30 years.
Yeah. As you have with the first two fights. All right, bro, let's move on to Saturday, bro, because this boxing weekend is nuts.
Yep.
We got two, a co-main event and main event that are massive fights right now. I mean, you got Shakur Stevenson and Jose Zepeda, right? And then you got main
event is
Berlanga, which is another great main event, evenly matched, tough to call. All right, let's go with Shakur. Shakur is not so much his greatness is question. His greatness is not question. Shakur, the issue is hand issues. Can he entertain? Does Zepeda have a chance to putting pressure on Shakur to make him fight more than he wants to? You know, we've discussed privately about the fact that Zepeda has been fighting constant southpaws in preparation for this. In some fights, he's looked good, like Maxie Hughes, to get the first guy to stop him, but at the same time, not look so good against Farmer, who, you know, had trouble with Murataya, some trouble, obviously lost to Murataya, but had, you know, trouble with Murataya, gives tons of trouble to Zepeda and then gets blown out and around by Schofield. So some things to keep in mind here. What are we looking at here with Shakur and Zepeda?
Tricky one. I got Shakur any which way because I said this a long time ago. Shakur is, to me, he's the most talented fighter since Floyd Mayweather.
Me too.
Does he have that extra gear that Mayweather had at 30 and 35 and even at 40 where he was really looking to get rid of these guys and stop them? He doesn't have that gear. He doesn't have that mentality. But also, I think he's labeled a runner unfairly. The De Los Santos fight, I mean, listen, that was a horrible fight. You're allowed an off night.
Yeah,
they both contribute.
Also, if you have some injuries, it's also more difficult to, you know, to hold your ground when you're dealing with a hand injury, you know?
Yeah, but for the most part, I mean, Shakur punishes these guys throughout the course of 12 rounds. Even in a fight with the Mexican, I'm going blank on his name. Help me out here. A couple of fights.
Valdez
didn't make it the distance comfortably, Paul. He got dropped late in that fight, somewhere around the 8th round. I had my money on Shakur by decision.
Valdez was at 126 or 130 though, right?
I was sweating that fight. I believe that was 130. Yeah, but I was sweating that fight
out. 135. Right?
Yeah, because Shakur punishes you throughout. You know what it is, Paul? His accuracy. He touches you all night.
He'll step to you. People make like he runs, but when he gets advantage, he'll step to you. You know, and test whether you can, you know, you can deal with it. What do you think here? I mean, a stoppage for Shakur would be a statement. I think most people believe Shakur beats Zepeda. Obviously, Zepeda is there to test Shakur and see if he can be exciting. But a stoppage, I think, would be a massive, massive statement. I don't think anybody's questioning whether Shakur should win the fight. I think it's rather obvious, especially when you look at the odds.
Yeah.
And it's a good win. Zepeda's a solid win on paper to have. But the fact that he's so heavily favored against a guy so tough shows the level that people think he's on. Can he get a stoppage?
But also, can he get a stoppage? Absolutely. I think because Zepeda has such poor defense. I mean, this guy is a very hittable guy.
Can you imagine? He steals the headline if he gets a stoppage Saturday. He steals the headline. It's not what people expect.
No, it's not. And listen, let's not overlook Zepeda either. Very good fighter. Very good fighter.
And like we said, he's been preparing, fighting constant southpaws.
He's been 5 of his last 6 fights have been against southpaws. He's been preparing for this for the last 3 years, essentially. Yeah. And for the most part, with the exception of Farmer, who nobody really looks good with, he has been looking very good with these southpaws. He's been dominating. And that's camp after camp, sparring session after sparring session, and mental preparation. Knowing what you're getting.
At this point, him fighting a right hand is awkward for him because he's southpaws.
So let's not overlook the fact that you're going to get Zepeda, who's coming in very focused, very hungry, and coming to win. The problem with Zepeda is there's not a lot of diversity to his game. His game is just his aggression and volume.
Yeah.
And his offense is his defense. And when you're a fighter that, for instance, I just said he doesn't feint. He doesn't use the jab a lot either. He doesn't feint. He really doesn't counterpunch. But when you're the only way you can get away with those missing those attributes is if you're a volume guy, which he is. But what happens when he's got the jab in his mouth all night, and that's going to mute his volume? So I think that he's going to make things interesting. I think he's going to steal some rounds early. I think he's going to win some rounds early and maybe make Shakur Stevenson uncomfortable. But I think Shakur takes over the second half of the fight. He's either going to cruise to a decision where he puts hands on Zepeda throughout the course of the fight, but a stoppage, a late stoppage, is not out of the question. So if you're going to bet Shakur, which is plus odds, if you're going to bet him for the stoppage, do so 7-12 by all means, because you're going to get big odds on that, close to plus 400, probably about.
And this is also one of those fights that could be a live bet too, where you
absolutely
the way the white's playing out as far as the way it's evolving, and you start to get a better idea of what you might see, or where it might go, or even if you like the winner as Shakur, you can start to see how Shakur may win this one, and you
correct. Very good call, and that's exactly what I did when Lomachenko fought Kambosos. I just waited it out, and I didn't put my bet in for that stoppage until about the 8th round, and those odds.
By then, the odds were better.
They're going to get better and better each round because you have less time to get that knockout.
Yeah. That was big win for you.
So again, make your decision whether Shakur is going to win by a stoppage.
But then you gave it back with Kambosos going distance against Hitchens.
Son of a bitch. But yeah, you can make a decision whether Shakur wins a decision here or gets a stoppage. I just feel that it's in the cards. If he gets the stoppage, it's going to happen 7-12.
All right, very nice. All right, Bo, Berlanga and Sheeraz. This one is tough, man. This one goes both ways. Berlanga opened up as a favorite. Right now, Sheeraz is the favorite.
Yeah.
This is a tough one to call, bro. Good fight. Both guys have a lot to prove. Neither guy's been a world champion, but both guys, there's a lot of expectation on both guys, And this is the kind of the matchup where, one guy will climb to that big opportunity and the other one will maybe get criticized for being overrated. Who knows? This is one of those fights where there's a lot hanging in the balance here.
Yeah, and I think Sheeraz has been with the better overall competition. Let's just call it the way it is. The only guy that Berlanga has been in with a real note is Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
He essentially lost every single round of that fight against a faded Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is fading fight after fight after fight. So
can Berlanga fight a hungry fight against a difficult opponent like this? We've seen him frustrated at times against more limited opposition, but then we've also seen him blow out more limited opposition.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, does Sheeraz pose enough of a threat on fight night to make Berlanga uncomfortable to where Berlanga comes undone, which he sometimes has shown to come undone in situations where he's uncomfortable? Can Sheeraz get it there? Because Berlanga's a good puncher, but so is Sheeraz. But Berlanga's a naturally bigger guy. Sheeraz coming up weight, it's that's the question. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack here.
I think it's going to come down to, as far as skill set goes and experience goes, that's all in Sheeraz's back pocket.
Can he offset the pressure Berlanga's going to bring? Because Berlanga's a little bit one-dimensional on the pressure, but he's bigger and he's going to take it to you. He's going to step to you.
There's a few things to keep him out with Berlanga. Not a busy fighter, not an active fighter as far as volume and throwing a lot of punches and putting.
But he puts on a mental pressure though. He steps to you.
He does put you under a lot of mental pressure. He is a big puncher, and this is Sheeraz's first fight, stepping up from 160 to 168. So how does he handle the weight jump?
Sheeraz's been down as well against Torres.
He's been down, but he also he got off the canvas and he won. So that's show character. Yeah.
And Berlanga's been down too, right? So I mean, it's both guys have been down.
Berlanga's been down twice. Yes. So Berlanga can be hit. Berlanga can be hurt. It's crazy that this fight switched odds so much. There's been so much money going in both directions because Sheeraz was a big underdog to begin with. He was the plus 135, and now he's a minus 130. It's completely flipped the odds.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with my pick poll. What I said the whole time. I like Sheeraz in this fight. I'm going to stick with.
Do you like Sheeraz on points, or do you like Sheeraz by stoppage?
Listen, with the odds being what it is, which is basically even money at this point, I'm not going to get greedy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take Sheeraz on the money line.
Right.
That doesn't mean Berlanga can't win the fight. I mean,
no, of course. Well, the odds speak for themselves. I mean, it's a very difficult fight to call,
In all these New York guys, I mean, Shakur Stevenson's from Newark, New Jersey, but Berlanga, I mean, he's basically from New York. Everybody's going to be looking to make a statement on this fight, card. So Berlanga also wants to steal the show the same way Shakur Stevenson does. So Berlanga is going to have a big crowd there pulling for him. Sheeraz's first fight, I believe it's his first fight in America, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So hopefully that pressure doesn't get to him. But again, he's an experienced guy. He's been on big stages before.
And if Serrano gets the win the night before, obviously, because it's a close fight, Berlanga's going to want to keep putting on for the Puerto Ricans because it could be a massive Puerto Rican celebratory weekend if Berlanga comes back and wins.
And that's not even counting. We'll get to Matias, but he's Puerto Rican.
Matias. Matias is also fighting on this fight. Yeah.
So we got a lot of Puerto Ricans fighting this weekend. But I'm going to
stick next week. No, or is it this week? Matias this week?
No, that's the same card. Yes.
Wait, he's on the Berlanga card, Matias. Wow. Okay, I
Yes.
thought it was next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Matias is against Puello.
But pulling it back, my official prediction is I'm going to stick with Sheeraz. But I mean, it's not a lock. It's far from a lock. It's kind of a coin flip.
But it's a nice one to add to a parlay because it brings down the odds
significantly. Oh yeah. Any which way, that's going to put you in a plus odd situation as soon as you use that fight.
If you put it into a parlay, yeah. Okay, well, Matias and Puello, bro, that's another tricky one.
It is. It is. Matias.
That's what I'm saying about Riyadh season, bro. They do put on good cards. You know, like we have pros and cons, obviously, to everything. But bro, I mean, these are every single fight you watch and you talk about. You're like, there's this one. It's a lot to unpack, a lot to discuss in terms of the way the results could happen and even what result could happen.
Yeah. Matias is 22-2 with 22 knockouts. He's never been stopped. So I mean, you're talking about reliability on both ends as far as very reliable puncher, very reliable chin, very durable. But both of those decisions, at times that he had to go the distance, he obviously lost. Where Puello is 24-0 with only 10 knockouts. So he's not a big puncher. But he's coming off some really good wins.
Over Martin and Gary Antoine Russell.
Yeah, and Russell, and I keep this in mind, he's in with a big puncher on Saturday night in Matias. But he was also in with a very big puncher in Russell. Russell had that same it factor. I think he was 17-0 with 17 knockouts. Every one of his wins came by knockout. He got completely outboxed, outpunched, domesticated, and upset in that fight. He was a big favorite in that fight.
Good point.
So, Matias is a very good fighter, but his feet are stuck in the mud pole. I think if you give him movement, you keep a jab in his face, you don't stay still with him, and you don't trade with him too much, he's a guy that you could outbox. Any world-class fighter is going to be able to outbox him. That has a little bit of slickness to their game, that has the boxing IQ, and he's in there with a guy that does have those attributes.
Okay, so what are we thinking here?
Right now I'm going with Puello by decision, by points.
Puello by decision. So Puello again going the distance against a tough puncher and getting the decision, not working him.
Yes.
You know? And Matias seems like the kind of guy he either knocks you out or loses the decision. He's got
so this fight goes one of two ways. It's going to go by Matias stoppage.
Decision.
Fight goes a difference in Puello decision, and that's what I like. At this point, the odds have evened out a little bit, but he's been an underdog on as high as I believe he opened up at like plus 150.
So those odds,
So and that's on the money line, Paulie.
Wow.
So those odds have slowly gone down. It's close to an even fight on money on the money line, but I don't see any chance that he scores a stoppage here. So I'm betting for the decision.
Because you obviously Matias has a good chin, but you like Puello to win the fight. So if Puello to win the fight, Matias has a good chin, he loses the decision.
Correct. I have it in for the decision. My bets are all for a decision.
But you
I got a couple on the money line, but listen, you talk about one guy that's not a big puncher, another guy that's a terrific chin.
Yeah.
So everything points in line of if he's going to pull off the upset, it's going to be Matias.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, dude, this is a great boxing weekend, bro. This is something. One of these weekends where you just we sit back, make some barbecue, and chill out and watch the fights, man. It's gonna be some stuff, man. And of course the live betting too, But what do we got? We got one more.
David Morell.
Morell with Khataev. Yes.
Good fight. Very good fight.
Dude, what do we got there? That Khataev is kind of dangerous, bro.
Dangerous. Oh, hey. Yeah. He is. He's got, listen, he's an unpolished Beterbiev from what I've seen. The only thing I don't like about him, he does is keep his hands very low. He likes to walk in with his hands very low, right at his waist.
And he's one of these Russians who are out in Australia, right? He's been training in Australia.
10-0, 9 knockouts. I mean, he has an amateur pedigree. Morell's amateur pedigree obviously speaks for itself.
But this is a big step up in the pros for Khataev.
It is. So as far as that's my leaning factor here is that's why I favor Morell is because on a world class level, on a professional level, he's been in with a much better competition. And listen, he was very competitive with Benavidez in his last fight. He lost a 12-round decision, but at no point did he pack it in. At no point did he try and survive. He was fighting for 12 rounds, and he was competitive and had his moments as well. He's a hell of a fighter. So I think it's a little bit too soon for how do you pronounce his name?
Khataev.
A little too soon considering the fact that he hasn't been in with anybody yet. Yeah, he's looked good doing so, and but.
Also, you know how these Russians move. They have so much amateur experience, they put them in right away. I mean, it's similar to Morell, really. So much amateur experience, they put them in right away at a world-class level.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about with Morell in this particular fight is boxing is the only sport where you can do too much. Okay? Baseball, basketball, football, you can't build up the lead too much, right? But in boxing, you could hit a 10-run home run. You could be up 9 rounds to nothing and get caught with something. So I could see Morell landing a lot of shots on a very aggressive
being dangerous with the punches.
But he's going to have a guy bombing away at him that is a very dangerous puncher. And I just hope he keeps that in mind, that he uses his boxing IQ and uses the jab and boxes and doesn't try and do too much here, because he's going to be susceptible the entire night. He's in there with a dangerous puncher.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, man. Well, boo, that's it. That's Tommy and Paulie's big fight forecast for this week. Lots to unpack. We have unpacked the best we can. Remember, everything we discuss here is not gambling or betting advice. However, it is strictly for entertainment purposes, and we love the entertainment for this weekend's fights, man. We'll catch you guys next time. Next weekend is an even bigger.
And real quick, next week we're going to do 2 shows because there's 3 huge cards, stacked undercards.
Too much.
So that's going to be too much to do on one show. So we're going to do a show where one comes out on Wednesday and then the other one will come out on our usual Thursday.
Sounds good, man.
Next week is going to be 2 shows.
Big. That's big. So everybody, like, subscribe, and this way you guys don't miss an episode and don't miss a beat here. That's Tommy Rayno, and I'm Paulie Malignaggi, and this is Tommy and Paulie's Big Fight Forecast.